We are back at it with the Bible study. We're in Mark 8. I'm Naomi Hackett. I'm the youth pastor here, and this is, if you don't know Matt, this is our pastor. And our goal is to grow together as a family. So this is just sitting down at the table, maybe having breakfast, eating your kolache with some coffee. I got mine right here. And so we're just going to grow a little bit this morning. So thanks for chiming in. So Matt, where are we at?
We are going to be in Mark chapter 8. Listen, if it's the first time joining us, like Naomi said, we are so excited. Grab some coffee because caffeine and Jesus is delightful. If you're looking for an equation for the day, caffeine plus Jesus equals delightful. That's a word we need to use more frequently. If you got a Bible, Mark chapter 8, we're going to be in verse 22. This is an awesome story, another healing story. This is what it says. They came to Bethsaida. They brought a blind man to him and begged him to touch him. He took the blind man by the hand, brought him out of the village. Spitting on his eyes, laying his hands on him, he asked, "Do you see anything?" He looked up and said, "I see people. They look like trees walking." Again, Jesus placed his hands on the man's eyes. They looked intently, and his sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly. Then he sent him home, saying, "Don't even go into the village." So a real long read for this morning. This is what's really interesting. Me and Naomi were talking about this morning. This is actually the second time Jesus has pulled somebody aside, right? The first time was the guy that was deaf and mute, right? This is where Jesus would use sign language to inspire faith in him so that he could heal him. And it says that he pulled him aside privately and did the miracle privately. He does the same thing with this guy. Now, here's what we can kind of gather from this guy. This guy, I believe, based on the context in the text, that this guy had sight at some point. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we were talking about this. You're like, how do you know that?
Yeah.
Well, how would somebody that's never seen know what trees look like? You know what I mean? Think about that. He's like, "Hey, can you see?" And he's like, "I see people, but they look like trees." Well, how would he even know what people look like, right? If he's been blind, he would never have seen a person. He wouldn't have seen a tree. And then it says that after he placed his eyes on him, this is verse 25, it said the man looked intently, and his sight was, here's a big word, restored. Mm-hmm. Restored. So for something to be restored, it had to be there first.
The first time.
Yeah, right. We'll see something similar. When Jesus heals the guy with a withered hand, it says his hand was restored. So at one point his hand was full.
Oh, so he was like injured.
Yeah, injury, fading, osteoporosis is a back thing. That's not the right word. But, you know what I mean? Just messed up. Like his hand was just messed up. Now, this is where I think the story gets funny, right? I think Jesus is so funny. If you don't think Jesus is funny, you need to read the Bible more frequently. Look at Jesus' approach to healing this guy. He spit on his face, right? I was thinking about this morning. It's like, usually when people spit in people's face, it's not a good thing, right? Yeah, like if people are mad in Hollywood, if people are mad in a movie, what do they usually do? They get up in their grill, they give them this mean look on their face, and then they spit in their face, right? Nobody is on the sideline saying, "Oh my gosh, he spit on their face. I think he's about to heal this person." They've got bitterness in their heart. He spit on their face. I'm about to heal them. You know what I mean?
So I know.
I think about this, like, what were the disciples thinking, right? Imagine that we're at church on Sunday, and somebody walks up and they're struggling seeing, or maybe they've got a migraine, right? And they come up to the front, and let's say Luke Durst is up there praying, and the Holy Spirit's like, "You know what? Spit on this guy's face." I wonder if our whole church is going to be like, a healing's about to take place.
I don't know if I could do it. If I could, okay, God.
I think culturally we would look and be like, "Oh, something's about to go down, like they're about to throw down." You know what I mean? But that wasn't the case. And we'll see something similar. Jesus in another healing, it says that he spit and made mud.
Yeah.
Now, I think this is where I love the Bible. Because I think, have you ever tried to spit and make mud before?
No.
You can't do it with one spit. So the guy that Jesus is like about to heal is blind, so he can't see Jesus. He knows that they brought him up to Jesus. Mm-hmm. He can hear. So for probably 5 or 10 minutes, he hears Jesus hawking loogies, like spitting on the ground. And then the next thing he knows is his face is wet. You know what I mean? Like Jesus, but here's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it. Jesus took his DNA And then what man was made from what?
Oh, dust.
Dust. He took the DNA of man, brought them together, and he restored them inside.
Cool. I didn't know that.
The funniest part about that story, though, is even after Jesus rubbed the spitty mud on his face, he says, hey, if you want to be healed, go wash off in this pool. And he didn't send anybody to show him where that pool is, so he's still blind.
I was like,
Like, I think Jesus,
what a savage.
Jesus is amazing. Now let's talk about the major takeaway. So, question: how many times did Jesus lay hands on this person? Twice, right? Twice. What we're going to talk about is not a very popular American concept. We like fast. We like immediate. We like now. Sometimes the miracles Jesus does in our life take time. This is the evidence of a progressional miracle, right? You asked the question earlier, like, how is it progressional? Because he wasn't healed on the first touch. You see that? This miracle takes time, or took time. And here's my encouragement. For some of you that are watching or may listen later on our podcast, you need a miracle right now. But you need to understand that sometimes miracles take time. They take time. You know what I mean? So don't rush it. Trust that. I think that's the biggest part of trusting God. You know, how easily could this guy have been, like, how mad, or easily could he have gotten mad and said, you know what, why didn't you heal me the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Or
I actually have a testimony to when somebody had to pray for me, like, a few times, like several times, more than twice, like 5 or so. And I was at Bible college, and so all the time people would invite us up to the front to get prayer for healing. And I have scoliosis. It's not super visible, but it's where your spine curves. But I also like to work out. But so when your spine curves and you back squat, it's like putting weight on a spring. Okay, the spring's gonna compress. And so it was really painful for me to do any weight more than like 50 or 90 pounds. Like, it was really painful on my back. And I know any chiropractor out there is like, Naomi, what do you do? You shouldn't be squatting at all with scoliosis. But it was something I enjoyed, and so I would always ask for prayer for, like, the pain or for my spine to go straight. I mean, as far as I know, my spine is still curved, but I don't feel any pain anymore. I don't at all. And so, like, I can still work out, and I can do way more than that weight, and I don't feel pain anymore. But it took several times of prayer, and also me, like, proclaiming it over myself that I was healed. And it really was just like one day I was working out and I stopped feeling pain.
yeah, so you had to, like, persevere.
Yeah, you had to keep getting prayer. I had to keep believing.
You had to get spit on, and then Jesus touched your face.
No,
What a horrible! I mean, I would say it's a horrible analogy, but it's what Jesus did. Here, I think about the walls of Jericho. You're like, maybe. Why does that make sense? Because I think sometimes the hardest things in life is progress with no evidence. Like, meaning that we're doing something, but we're not, we don't see physical evidence. The easiest analogy is the gym, right? A lot of people work out, they don't see their own progress. The truth is you're not going to see it you're not going to see it first, because you look at yourself every day. Somebody else will see it before you do. The same is true of faith, right? You won't see the how much growth you've had in your faith. Somebody else will see it. And then they affirm it, and then you actually start to believe it. But, so imagine these soldiers for like 7, the only one that knows the game plan is Joshua. God tells Joshua, hey, you're going to walk around, you're going to do this. So Joshua gets everybody up, they wake up on, like, let's say it was a Monday, and they're ready to, fight, cut somebody's arm off, that kind of thing. And they walk out, and then...
Typical Monday.
Yeah, typical Monday, chest day, right? Can't do it without arms. So they walk out, and Joshua said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for a walk. They're prepared to battle, and instead they walk. Same thing Tuesday, Wednesday, same thing. And how easy would it have been for them to say, you know what, I'm just out. Mm-hmm. It's not like the walls were cracking or bricks were falling or the walls were even just like shrinking into the ground. Mm-hmm. There was no progress. They had to trust the process. And if they'd have given up, they would have never gotten Jericho. Some of you are getting mad and giving up too soon, right? Sometimes God's miracles take time. You've just got to trust the process. I heard Stephen Furtick says it this way: don't stop on 6. Don't stop on day 6. You never know when you're one day away from your back not hurting when you back squat anymore, or that healing that you've been praying for, or that breakthrough that you've been asking God for. Sometimes the miracles of God take time. They take time. Is there anything else you want to add to?
No. Otherwise, we just see like the compassion of Jesus, like willing to heal and take the time. But no.
Well, that's it for this week's Bible study. If you're watching live right now on Facebook or YouTube, or you join us later on our podcast, man, we just want to tell you thank you for joining. If you're watching live, post something that you learned down in the chat, maybe a question that you have from this particular text. We'd love to go after those things. But the reason that we do this is to grow together right where we are. We'll see you guys. We hope you have a great week.